Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Bolts. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona, and away we go for the first time. Nicholas Porcel, Sean.
It looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Dom's, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now, as we've got three wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for Circuit Spa Francorchamps. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out, and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Lloyd Moore starting 16th. Troy Baker starting 17th. Dakota Grandpa Pischke starting 18th. Chris Walsh starts 19th. Joey Buscemi starting 20th. Dustin Martinson starting 21st. Darrell Winninger starts 22nd. Bruce Pearson starts 23rd. Larry Corey starting 24th. Kermit Carey Gentry starting 25th. You've got Robert Garisco, Mr. Crisco himself, starting 26th. Brian Lindsay starting 27th. Michael Watts in the 84 machine starts 28th. Dan Hill starts 29th. Kenneth Scholes starting 30th. Eric Assery starting 31st. Courtney Nelson 32nd. Wayne Huffer starting 33rd. Brian Lynch starting 34th. Cody Sears starting 35th. Cameron Shosey will be 36th. John Hastings starts 37th. Jeff Lyden starting 38th. Chris Clark starts 39th. Victor Lane starting 40th. Patrick Martindale starting 41st. Bert Dodson starting 42nd. And Michael Lemoncheck will round out the field. I need to do an audio check here.
Yeah, all was very good. I unfortunately made a huge mistake and didn't have my devices connected from the last time that I was doing this. So having a little bit of technical issues here in the booth, but we are good to go now. Unfortunately, dropping the ball on that one. But James, I'm still trying to get myself back together after being on holiday for a couple of weeks, and it's nice to be back. I just got to get myself back under control.
Now, Garrett, the most important question here, was the grid heard by the fans? Because that was a mouthful, 43 drivers here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I apologize for that one. I didn't actually realize until later, but I think the grid was starting to be heard around about the 14th place. So,
oh my goodness.
Unfortunately, I kind of messed that one up. But
hate to see it.
Yeah, that's
Garrett, we've got talking about luck. We've got two triple-digit drivers here at Las Vegas, newcomers to OBRL. We've got Patrick Martindale in the 107, and I saw two more. Courtney Nelson, the 102, Cody Sears, the 105. So triple-digit drivers, new rookie drivers to the Kimball Cup Series, not eligible to qualify. What would be your impression? You joined a new league. You're the low man of the totem pole, and it is an absolute packed field as we get ready to go green here.
Well, I'd be really worried about how everything's going to turn out and trying to keep the car underneath me, but we've gone green as Tom Ogle has really gone through, just made an absolute monster start through the field, excuse me, as Eddie Jones tries to follow him through. Al Turner is stuck on the high side there. Josh Robinson underneath him. So Josh looking to take that third spot away as we continue to fan out. There is a big battle going on. It's hinting at 3 wide all over the place. As McRubbin and Brown were going side by side for a while there, it looked like they're still trying to sort out who wants that 9th place spot, as it seems to have sort of sorted out a little bit towards the top 10 as we go single file for the first lap of this one.
Now keep an eye out. I think that's John Hinchcliffe on the low line, the number 8 machine, a little bit back from Greg McDaniel, the number 1. He's still involved in that battle with Brian McRubbin, the 09 you were just talking about. And I want to talk about the 2 top drivers right now, Tom Ogle, Eddie Jones, 2 very long-time rivals. Eddie Jones has been quoted in the past as, I would rather wreck my car than finish 1 spot behind Tom Ogle. So keep an eye out amongst those top 2. If they can stay together here, I think that's going to be a really good talking point, as already Jones taking a look to the just slight inside line of Ogle, a little bit out of that draft, and keeping the pressure on the number 11 machine, making sure Ogle can't do too much fuel saving and can't do too much tire saving, which I think is going to be extremely important here. Now, last week we had a bit of a rough go at Auto Club. We'll try and get it pulled up, but I want to say it was 7 cautions for 22 laps. So drivers got a stern talking to after that one, and I think they're going to clean up a little bit. And look, Gareth, I think there's something going on around that 5th and 6th place mark.
Yeah, Kevin Strandberg is currently in that 5th place position. Alongside him is, just underneath actually, is Al Turner. I believe he's going to make that pass. The 76 machine is making his way through, actually making his way a little bit further down the field. So perhaps some tire saving really coming into its own already as Al Turner tries to save some tires underneath him. But we've got action all over the place. Eddie Jones has taken over the league from Tom Ogle, and that is going to be quite handsome a lead indeed. So Josh Robinson was also trying to follow him through there and is underneath as well as Dwayne MacArthur.
Ooh,
and it's
wide.
Getting very dicey. Yeah, 3 wide, almost hinting at 4 wide there with Kevin Strandberg underneath. Deciding against it. Sorry, I believe that was actually Al Turner, not Kevin Strandberg, that I was mentioning there. But as we sort it out up the front once again, but we go slightly further back, 5th, 6th are going at it. That's Strandberg and Hinchcliffe once again. And these 2 can't seem to get away from each other. The top 5 laps has just been constantly switching positions for these 2.
Now I'm trying to get something pulled up here, but you've got a few different teammates up in the fray here. You've got Jones, MacArthur, who are teammates running 1st and 4th. You've got Robinson, Ogle, and I want to say, I think Hinchcliffe might be driving for Miata this year. No, Hinchcliffe racing with Half Throttle Racing. So a few different teammates up in the top there trying to link up with their partners. You're going to see Jones and MacArthur working together. Meanwhile, Robinson and Ogle are expecting those 2 to link up. But right now, it's kind of every man but himself, as Robinson still holding the lead side by side with Jones. They're 2 deep. MacArthur and Ogle right behind, and there sits Hinchcliffe in 5th. You could throw a blanket over these top 5 drivers. We're only 8 laps in. We've already seen some really good 3-wide racing. Now, we did not get a report from the drivers today letting us know about fuel runs and how the tires are going to be. So very interested to see how this run develops. Last week at Auto Club, it was about 15 laps in, and drivers started getting really, really loose. And really curious to see if that's going to be the same storyline we're going to see here today at Vegas.
Yeah, these next-gen cars, I honestly believe these next-gen cars really sort through their tires, really chew through them very, very quickly. And you're right, we're definitely going to see something of that nature kind of come into fruition in this race. No doubt about that. As Tom Ogle is making his way underneath Eddie Jones, and they continue to fight side by side. So this battle is not going away. And if we cycle it on all the way back to 10th position, Joe Brown, it looks like, is making his way, trying to pass Brian McRubbin. And of course, as we pan to him, he's just decided to back off a little bit and let that sort of file back in line, just follow the draft of these drivers in front. Battle continues up higher up though, as John Hinchcliffe continues to fight as well for that 5th place spot. And these drivers continue to be side by side all the way through to 7th position, really.
Now, you talked about Joe Brown, the number 21 machine. He is doing a great job. He's got 1 win in his OBRL career. His biggest goal is out on track. He's just here to listen and learn from some of the best guys in sim racing. And he says big goal here pretty much each and every week, not to burn off the front right tire. So well done to Brown. He's up 1 spot. And to be running top 10 in such a stacked field, really an achievement in and of itself. I mean, the talent field's so incredibly deep here, and everybody's doing a solid job. I mean, we're 11 laps in. We've seen 2 3-wide action, and for the most part, it's been really clean, and really haven't seen that many close calls here as of yet.
It's been great racing, great competitive action, and also very close and very nice, as Buscemi, we just saw on the timing sheet, has gone around Bellenbaum.
Bellenbaum, yeah, there you go.
Bellenbaum, there we go. So they're battling up down here in 15th place. And we've got another close battle further behind. Lloyd Moore is going to be close. And there we've got a caution coming out. I don't have it registered who's it for, but
It's, Dustin Martinson is showing on my software. He's currently running P43, is falling down the grid as we get a replay queued up. There we go, the number 19 machine focused on screen. Let's see what happens here.
for some reason it's gone to that camera angle. That's not the one I wanted.
Enhance.
Oh.
Oh, we're going to have to back that one up. There's the 65. So it looked like the 65 of Kermit Gentry involved in a big hit. There's the number 17 machine as well involved. And I don't think Martinson had anywhere to go. If we can get the camera focused on the 65 of Gentry and restart this when the yellow came out.
Trying to find Gentry on the list, and I'm really struggling here.
Looks like, yeah, it's the tough part about a full field. Look, P28 is what I show him at currently.
I found him. Gonna back this one up. Oh, looks like he got tagged. Looks like he got tagged in the rear by the 102. Just came down, and 102 was there in the rear left quarter panel.
Tough to point fault at that one. So we say that's the 102, Kermit Gentry involved in that one. The 102 being Courtney Nelson, one of the rookie drivers.
Yeah, so it looked like Courtney had the nose in, and unfortunately just wasn't really seen by the driver in front, really. So that's just unfortunate from everyone around. But Gentry's still driving, and the main thing is that all the cars are still in contention. No one's really been having to force a retirement early, so good work from all these drivers to not make a big meal out of that one.
Yeah, 14 laps in. Victor Lane's rolling back out on track. He was in his pit stall for 16.22 seconds. Mark Schrader, the number 12. Dustin Martinson, the aforementioned 19 machine. They're going to be in pit road for a little bit of an extended stay, trying to get those machines hammered back into shape. They're going to fight desperately to stay on the lead lap here, but not the start those guys were looking for, and was normally a long format race that is very reliant on green flag runs. There's Schrader limping his way out of pit road. The car looks relatively decent, all things considered.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's got too much of an issue, although it does seem to be crabbing a slight bit, or maybe it just got a little bit loose. That exit of pit lane is quite loose indeed. There's not much in the way of grip down there, so it does, however, look like Dustin Martinson is going to not be able to stay on the lead lap for this one. So he's going to go down another lap.
I'm going to give Schrader a hard time here because he's such a great guy. His bio, NASCAR, DraftKings, professional, amateur iRacer. But for the fans at home, I do want to point out that Schrader did misspell professional, and that has made my day up here in the booth. So hate to see that for Schrader with the bad luck early on, but hopefully he gets things fired back up, overcomes adversity. Unfortunately, he's going to be down 37 positions here. It's going to be a long uphill battle as the field getting set once again behind our racing safety car. It's MacArthur Ogle, the front row. Robinson, Hinchcliffe, your second row. Jones and McDaniel, your third row.
Yeah, we're getting ready to send them back out, and I'm getting ready for another doozy of a start. As the pace car is going to make the hard left. There it is. A little bit later than I expected, but never mind. Arthur is going to get ready to send them out for this one. The 83 machine out in front, getting Tom Ogle really close on the restart, doing a fantastic job of not letting MacArthur really dictate where he wanted to lead the field away through, and we've already got a battle going on. I'm not surprised. Hinchcliffe looks very racy indeed, just behind Eddie Jones here, and they are fanning out all over the place.
Yeah, it's every man for himself here. MacArthur with that early lunge up to the front. Ogle. Keep an eye out, though. Ogle's got his teammate Josh Robinson right with him, that 23 machine. Expect to see those two link up as quick as they can. Meanwhile, MacArthur's going to look for Eddie Jones to gain a couple spots, lend his support to that 83 machine. And I'm trying to, there's great movements all across the track. MacArthur is up 7 spots. Gareth, check this out. Patrick Martindale, the 107, the rookie driver, he is up 20 positions here today. Patrick making big moves up to P21 already.
That's just incredible. That's nothing short of fantastic drive from him. It does make me worry slightly that he may be using up more tire than some of the other drivers around him. However, it seems to be working for him, and if he can make it work, there's no stopping this kid. Absolutely not.
Gareth, you just called somebody a kid in a league where the minimum age is 35 years or older. So I'm sure Martindale is going to really appreciate that. You might have just earned your favoritism among the racers after that one.
Well, young at heart.
There you go.
I'm sure all of these drivers are young at heart. They're still beating and banging and running around this league, and I can't think of anything more awesome to do with my day. So I'm sure the sentiments are felt the same way as Troy Baker made his way around Patrick Martindale, and Martindale starts to see himself falling slightly further back through the field as he cannot get off of that high line. Really stuck up there. Meanwhile, our fastest lap of the race so far, Larry Corey up in the 18th position, effectively using the draft and really making waves as he looks to get around Lloyd Moore.
Yeah, he got down to the 30.86, so he's on the move and really utilizing that draft to his full advantage as they are all getting really dicey right ahead of him there. That is, I believe, Lloyd Moore and Michael Watts having a frantic battle for 17. Larry Corey just kind of watching the show unfold from the front of that number 17 machine. And there's Michael Watts, the 84. He's having a great run as well, up 11 positions, now running P17. Really, the field's so incredibly tight, but your top three have a bit of a breakaway. That's MacArthur, Ogle, and Hinchcliffe. They've built up just about 9/10 of a second over Robinson and Jones, sitting 4th and 5th. So if we can get some green flag runs, which we haven't been able to see really too much this season compared to years past, that is going to allow the tire-saving guys to really show their stuff. As we're focused in on Robinson, about 3/4 of a second back from Hinchcliffe. This is going to be tough momentum. If Robinson, Jones, Turner don't get some momentum built up, you might see MacArthur, Ogle, and Hinchcliffe start to pull away here even further from the field.
Yeah, it's looking like they've already gapped them quite a bit, and they're continuing to gain that gap as Hinchcliffe is now 9/10 ahead of this battle for 4th position here between Robinson and Jones. And it looks like there's no stopping them, but MacArthur looks like he's got very big company as Ogle has made his way within 1/10 of a second behind and effectively using that draft to close up to the back end of Dwayne MacArthur. So MacArthur definitely not able to get away as much as he would have wanted to, as Ogle and Hinchcliffe have followed suit. But going all the way back, Larry Corey once again in a battle. Mark Fish has just been passed, so Larry Corey up to 17th. Just behind them, you can see Lloyd Moore, Daryl Winiger, and Eric Essery all very close together in 19th, 20th, and 21st.
Yeah, great racing all across the track here. The battle for the lead still continues between MacArthur and Ogle. They go side by side here at Vegas. Hinchcliffe watching that show unfold. But, I mean, we know Ogle has the pace. He is your pole setter for this main event. A little bit of a dark horse, though. John Hinchcliffe at number 8. He's put himself in a great spot early on, up 3 positions. He would be on the inside line if we have another caution. And MacArthur and Ogle, no love lost between the two. They're still side by side here. Now, this is allowing the second pack of drivers a chance to catch up. I wonder if Robinson maybe doing that on purpose, excuse me, not Robinson, Ogle doing that on purpose to try and close the field up, get some support from his teammates. I would have thought Ogle would be content falling behind the 83, doing a little bit of fuel saving, but I'm wondering if he likes the free air on the front of that number 11 machine just a little bit more to his liking. But regardless, that's going to tighten the field up if they keep hopping out of formation here, as Ogle's doing once more, running more of the middle groove while MacArthur's down low. Oh, that's going to get exciting here as the field starts to close the gap, and that really, the top 10's pretty darn close here.
Yeah, I'm very surprised, and especially with how Robinson's been able to really reel in, huh? I say that, I want to say that, but there we go. As Hinchcliffe is less than half a second really ahead of Robinson now, so Robinson's really made his way quickly around this track at the moment. And Ogle is starting to get passed by Hinchcliffe now, as Hinchcliffe tries to make the outside work, and we haven't seen that work all day so far. But Hinchcliffe is showing that it's possible, and as he goes through without much of an issue, makes me wonder if Ogle's used up more tire than he's expected at this point in the race.
Yeah, I'm curious to talk to these drivers and see maybe the car runs a little bit tight as we see Ogle fall back to third, so maybe he is burning up a little bit more fuel. Hinchcliffe in a good spot. He's up now 7 spots compared to MacArthur, also up 7 positions. But most importantly, Ogle now has his teammate Robinson right behind, so those two may be working together here. And a lot of these drivers will very frequently have different team chatter, team comms going on, discussing pit strategies, tire management calls, and the likes of that. So there's probably some definite team discussions going on as far as how the car's set up, as it looks like Robinson taking a peek to the inside line of Ogle, backs out of it slightly, but one of the two Team Miata drivers going to play a bit of a game of leapfrog here and maybe take turns with the tire wear so their cars are more equally balanced here at the end compared to MacArthur, who's pretty much up there by himself. He doesn't have that luxury of team calls to make, and yeah, here comes Team Miata trying to challenge back for second.
Yeah, they're fanning out too wide. Almost looks like a bunch of bodyguards there behind Hinchcliffe. So that would scare me for sure in the rearview mirror, as they almost try to split him 3 wide, hinting once again. Decides to back out of it. Josh Robinson, probably the smarter move, as we've had a few different hints for 3 wide all throughout the field, and everyone deciding that probably better not to do it, as Hinchcliffe has a little bit of a bobble and now falls back behind Robinson. So Ogle and Robinson going to be working together to try and chase down MacArthur here for the top spot.
A very interesting. Dan Hill, Cody Sears, they have come down pit road together on, we'll call it about the start of lap 29, so not quite sure what happened between those two. Maybe there was some contact. Now here at the Kimball Cup Series, there's a there's a fault pit rule. If you find yourself causing an incident with another driver, you have to serve your own drive-through penalty, but looks like those two drivers are in their pit stall, so they've got something going on where Hill's having to come down pit road and get some damages repaired. Not quite sure what, but interesting to see some green flag stops, some unscheduled green flag stops, as we watch Eddie Jones, John Hinchcliffe battling for fourth. They're 3/4 of a second back from your top 3. MacArthur, Ogle, Robinson getting things going. Patrick Martindale also coming down pit road in the 107. So, Gareth, not quite sure. Why would drivers be coming down pit road this early on here?
Well, believe it or not, I actually did a little bit of research on this before the race began, and I found out that around about 30 laps is kind of when you want to come down pit road. The car starts getting really, really loose, and even if it doesn't feel like it, then you're nowhere near your fuel window. The tires really, really start to loosen up here at Las Vegas with the very hot temperatures, and a very fast racetrack, you're really eating up those tires a lot more than you'd expect. And the car gets very loose, very difficult to control. So, I mean, they might be coming in a little bit early, but I would still say that that's a fairly scheduled pit stop from what I've come to understand. But yeah, going back to 15th place, Eric Essery and Mark Fish, I believe. No, that's going to be Michael Watts, excuse me, that are fighting for the 14th position. And Essery is going to take that away from Watts and take it away quite demandingly. So like you said, we're going to start seeing, this is around that time, we're going to start seeing the drivers who have been tire saving really come into their own. And Ogle is going to make an example of that as he tries to work his way around MacArthur. Robinson is watching, wondering how this one's going to play out. And definitely rooting on Ogle just in front, I am sure of that, as they continue side by side. But Ogle looks to have the slight advantage as we come across the line here for the 35th lap.
Yeah, we've got about 23 laps on these set of tires after that lap 13 caution, kind of throwing off things for the pit stop. Ogle holding on to it. Your pace setter, Larry Corey, had an off-track excursion, not seeing the yellow flag come out, so I'm sure Ogle's happy for that after making a move back to the front. Cody Sears, Dan Hill, your only two drivers on pit road. We still have 43 drivers out on track here, and the top five definitely bunching up. Al Turner, that 76 machine, as well as Kevin Strandberg. He leads the second pack. Strandberg involved in a battle with John Hinchcliffe for sixth as they're side by side. There's Greg McDaniel sporting the number 1 plate right behind as well. He's got a massive aero advantage here, being able to follow behind Strandberg and Hinchcliffe. They're punching a massive hole through the air. I'm expecting if these guys, again, can work together just for a little bit, they can catch back up to Al Turner in fifth. And next thing you know, your top 8 drivers can all be battling for the lead here. Looking forward to our first green flag run. I'm really excited to see a green flag pit stop. I don't think we've seen actually a green flag pit cycle so far this season. We had the season opener at Daytona. That's always a rough one in super speedway racing. Auto Club, a bit of anomaly. Those 100 laps, 22 cautions, a rough showing for the Kimball Cup drivers. So maybe Auto Club, the chance of redemption as MacArthur and Ogle keep putting on, Vegas is the chance of redemption here in Sin City as Ogle and MacArthur still continue battling for the lead up front, side by side with Josh Robinson right in the mix as well.
Yeah, these two just cannot let each other go as MacArthur and Ogle, like you said, they just keep on battling each other. And that's really going to, like you said earlier as well, it's going to really encourage the field to kind of get behind each other really quickly and bunch up is the word I was looking for. And yeah, they just continue to be side by side. It's really incredible that one can't prevail over the other. But it looks like Ogle may fail. No, as MacArthur's definitely got the shorter run around the tri-oval. And he is going to take the lead away, and Ogle's going to come back. So this battle just will not quit. And they've now got a line of the top 6 all filing back behind them. Strandberg's made his way up, but McDaniel and Hinchcliffe have fallen down by the wayside quite a bit. So Strandberg really the big winner out of those 3 that were trying to make their way back to the front.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised to not see Robinson give the draft support to Ogle and give him maybe a nudge up towards the front, but it looks like everybody except for Ogle and MacArthur seem to kind of be content here, following along and seeing how it shakes up. Ogle taking back over the race lead down the back stretch here at Vegas. You've got MacArthur tucked in the 83 machine. Robinson, the 23, sits in third. Jones and Strandberg round out your top 5. Now, Bert Dodson had some sort of problems. He took a drive down pit road, entered his pit stall, and then took a tow for some reason. So not sure what happened to Dodson. Hopefully he's able to get back out on track in that number 59 Ford Mustang. So starting to see a few drivers have issues. Still all 43 out on track. We have not seen anybody retire yet, but that's a lot of uphill battling, especially if we do start to get those green flag runs. It's going to be tough to work your way back onto the lead lap here when everybody's driving so extremely well.
Yes, they continue to have a look for another fight as Robinson looks like he might actually make that move on MacArthur. No, content to stay behind for the moment. I'm surprised that Ogle has decided to stay up high when every single one of his competitors right behind him at the moment has come down to the bottom groove. So not sure. I think Ogle's just found the line he likes and he's just sticking with it while everyone else is staying lower. I wonder if that's almost like a tactic to play into the hands of that ever important tire saving. So I'm not quite sure how that one's going to fan out. But like you said, Robinson is right there as well. So it could help Ogle go to the front. But maybe Ogle's decided that that's not quite where he wants to be at the moment. Try and save some fuel by getting in the draft. Getting behind MacArthur once again. So, but these top six, they just will not quit. And they're all staying right behind each other.
Yeah, everybody bunched up here, and I'm really excited to see if we can get some green flag pit stops going with how racy these guys are being inside the top 5. Going to be very, very intrigued. Now, I did make a mistake last week under caution. MacArthur volunteered. Oh, actually, I'm going to interrupt myself. There's going to be an incident. Larry Corey showing involved in a crash out on track. The number 17 machine. Yes, there's the caution. Larry Corey, excuse me. I think he might have hit the incident limit as that car just disappeared.
Well, very, very strict incident limits here, as we know. So, definitely could be for that one. So, I can grab the reason for that caution.
There's Chris Clark.
Oh, that looked like all kinds of loose.
But it was Larry Corey who brought the caution, I thought. So maybe it was Clark involved in the initial incident. We're focusing on the number 91. Gets very, very loose there in the moon pie backed Ford Mustang. Tries to hold on the apron, so let's see if we can get it focused on Larry Corey. I think he's about to get obliterated here. Chris Clark comes up the track, and oh no, there's Larry Corey, whose day just goes from bad to worse. Larry Corey, Chris Clark, both drilling the outside wall. One driver able to snake through there, but I'm intrigued how Larry Corey gets the worst end of this deal here. It showed him on my live timing software 3 different crashes. Maybe if we pick it up regular speed, I don't know what happened here, Gareth.
Just seemed to rub the wall a bit and decided. No, I'm not sure.
Oh no.
Oh,
I wonder if that was the mechanical.
it
And
didn't.
then he hits the old Alt F4, I wonder.
Yeah, doesn't show him as on track after that. So, yeah, absolutely tough break and nothing he could have done. Chris Clark just lost the rear end out of the tri-oval and was chasing it back up, and Larry Corey just had nowhere to go.
Yeah, wrong place, wrong time. As we go back live, our green flag pit stops are just about completed. That's going to be our second caution of the evening. Still have not seen a green flag stop. But I gotta say, still better than last week at Auto Club as far as the caution count goes. The driver's having a good go, but it's just been single driver incidents here today and some innocent victims causing all sorts of issues. As we're focused on Tom Ogle, knowing that he's got some of the gaudiest paints on the iRacing service in the White Claw back number 11, but very, very proud of the hard work he puts into him. So a tip of the hat there to Ogle, who's sitting third. He'll be starting the inside line. And oh, look who's starting on pole here, Gareth. It's his teammate, Josh Robinson, the 23. Both drivers going to be on the inside line here together. I'm expecting them to link up immediately and start putting in work. Robinson's been involved in racing his whole life, from DTR to the local track to iRacing. So good to see him back out here running a full season, the Kimball Cup Series. And that 23 machine has been historically extremely fast.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting to see him lock up with Ogle just behind on the inside line and keep MacArthur up high, and then they could take the front row together. So that should be one to watch out for. I'm very keen to see how that one shapes up, but yeah, unfortunately we've seen, I think Courtney Nelson at the moment is the highest ranked triple number driver out on the field, because we did have Martindale have a little bit of an issue that was off screen, and we weren't quite sure what happened with that, but didn't bring out a caution. So Courtney Nelson certainly one to watch as well, as she's made her way up 10 spots and in the 102 up into 22nd position.
He.
He?
Courtney Nelson, the guy. Courtney.
Well, now I feel bad.
Nah, it's okay. Courtney's a cool dude. Talked to him a couple times before the drivers meeting that 102. And yeah, the rookie driver having a great run of it, up 10 spots, 22 positions. There's been some hard charges here tonight, and there's been some drivers that unfortunately sent back to the virtual hauler very, very early. And Eric Essery, the number 37, having a great run as well, up 21 positions, now will be starting 10th for our third restart of the evening, as we're getting the field gridded back up, double file behind our iRacing safety cars. MacArthur, Robinson, your front row. Jones, Ogle, your second row. Oh, and I want to point out, both starters on the front row have their teammates right behind them. Robinson has the likes of Ogle. MacArthur has the likes of Jones. So neither guy on the front row going to have too much of an advantage. Both drivers with teammates right behind. This could be a really exciting restart here.
Yeah. Yeah, it should be a good one. I feel like I have to apologize to everyone watching. I'm getting used to everything and caught up, and then issues and everything going crazy at the moment. So I apologize once again for everyone watching at home and the drivers themselves. But
well, between you getting used to Kimbo Cup Series and me sitting here broadcasting with a broken foot, it's been a show, and it's always tough with how busy the racetrack is. 43 drivers, again, the third week in a row. We fielded so many drivers here. It's a very healthy start to the season, as we are green flag racing once more. Keep an eye out on Robinson, the inside line, the likes of Tom Ogle right behind. MacArthur and Jones will be ripping the high line, but we say it each and every week, Gareth, cautions breed cautions. At this point, are drivers, you think, going to play it safe, try and get into a rhythm, or is it going to be every man for himself again?
I think we're going to see drivers play it a bit safe. We've had a couple of cautions already, and I imagine that we're probably done with cautions for the foreseeable future, hoping to see those green flag pit stops come out. But Dwayne MacArthur showing immense pace straight off the start and has taken control of the race, and Ogle follows him through as well. So Robinson and Ogle not able to link up quite as well as they were wishing to. It's still sitting in the second and third spot, so absolutely nothing to sneeze at, as Al Turner, Strandberg, Greg McDaniel, Joe Brown, Dakota
Hishke.
It's slightly off the timing screen. It's a little bit too long as a name, but yeah.
Yeah, that nickname, old Grandpa Pishke out on track, the number 20 Toyota Camry, up 9 spots. Dakota has been historically a very fast driver. Very, very rare to see him outside the top 5, if not the top 10. So good to see Pishke back out on track as well. I don't believe him. I saw him too much at the winter season finale, so he took a little bit of time off in that number 20, but back out on track, having a great run here as he's battling with Eric Essery. And just ahead is Joe Brown having his own battle with Kevin Strandberg. So a lot of talent out here today, and I'm interested to see what some of what I like to lovingly call the short run heroes do. The guys that absolutely have dominant short run pace. Courtney Nelson's in that list in that 102 machine. We know the top 5 drivers, the seasoned veterans, extremely good with tire savings and management. Intrigued to see how the rest of the field here can do, is historically that has what won or lost big events here at this series is tire management over green flag runs, as well as fuel management. But it looks like MacArthur and Ogle building up a bit of a gap, a half second between themselves. And Ogle even has a half second over his teammate Robinson. So something has lit a fire up front for MacArthur, and he is hammering down here, getting the pace going.
Yeah, it almost makes you wonder, like, MacArthur was getting caught up to towards the end of the last green flag run, so it seems that he's got a lot of short run speed as well, but might fade off into the as we keep on going with the green flag run. But Tom Ogle has a bit of a midway sort of a car. Like, he seems to be quite strong at the start, but quite strong at the end as well. So I would say look for him to come back up to MacArthur as well in the near future. But Robinson, for the most part, we've seen him just work his way slowly through the field, not eating up his tyres too much. Same with Eddie Jones and Al Turner just behind as well. So we could see, if this one stays green for a while yet, MacArthur may get sucked in behind these drivers as time goes on and tyre wear really starts to stick its ugly nose into the mix here.
Yeah, and I don't know how many hundreds of races I've called for these drivers at this point, but it's always interesting. Really, everybody inside the top 5 here, an absolute professional when it comes to tire management. As we pan the camera back to Eric Essery, Kevin Strandberg, John Hinchcliffe, having a very frantic battle, as well as Joe Brown, Michael Watts, who are just outside the top 10. We've seen drivers kind of have track favoritism where they know, like, hey, keep an eye on that driver. He's one of the guys to keep an eye out for with tire management here today. But it's all across the seasons. It's the norm to see these guys up front clicking off laps. But what I love watching this battle for 8th, Eric Essery now up 23 spots, making the move on Kevin Strandberg. Essery's about 2/10 back from Dakota Pischke as Strandberg, Hinchcliffe, Brown, Watts. Things are getting mighty dicey here just outside the top 10. And this is kind of the meat grinder for the drivers. There's no support from ahead. There's no support from behind. It's every man for himself. And a lot of these drivers each and every week just fighting for their personal best. For some drivers, they're not looking for a win. They're setting goals. Hey, if I can get a top 20 this week, a top 15 this week, they are more than happy. As there is Brown and Hinchcliffe absolutely ripping it behind Strandberg and kind of the tan 58 machine. Just great racing all across the track surface here at Vegas.
Yeah, these drivers in basically from the 8th position to the 12th, or to the 11th spot, they're not getting away from each other at all. They're all kind of stuck together in this big group, but could be a little bit dicey when you're stuck in a group like this and the air is moving all around every which way around the cars and getting you a little bit loose and not having the entry or exit that you quite prefer in the line throughout these corners. But these drivers doing a great job of keeping the car underneath them and keeping it pointed in the right direction, as we're going to go a little bit further back because we have a very close battle. Oh, hang on, look a little further back. There it is, all the way to the 24th spot. Brian Lynch and Robert Baruccio are side by side here, and Lynch is going to take that spot.
Garisco in the 28. Yeah, like Crisco. I don't know if you guys have that in the land down under.
No, what's a Crisco?
Crisco, it's like a cooking lard, I believe. Yeah, look on the side of the 28 machine, Crisco. There's your homework for the day, Gareth. You have to study the magic that is Crisco. It's used to coat pans and other stuff. I don't know what the equivalent would be for you guys. I guess it would just be Crisco that's upside down, but regardless, Robert Garisco, the 25, tucked in behind Brian Lynch. There's Troy Baker, Cameron Shosey, Kermit Gentry. A lot of these drivers in the past that are running are fighting for new personal best as well. These are some drivers in the past would see battling for the top 35, slowly making progress each and every week. And every driver comes out here on a Sunday night for one thing, the absolute clean racing these drivers are known for. And I mean, there's such great racing all across the track. Doesn't matter if it's between Ogle and Robinson running 2nd and 3rd. There's a battle Joe Brown, Kevin Strandberg, 9th and 10th. Everybody just inside the top 15 is running really, really tight. And these guys are all just looking for good, clean racing along like-minded folks, and they're able to find it here.
Yeah, as the cameraman was not quite ready for me to swing back to look at
wouldn't count on that.
But Michael Watts and Strandberg going side by side for the 10th position now, and they're being chased down by Hinchcliffe once again, and Buscemi is not too far behind either, so they are all in a very tight group, going too wide, too deep, and there's more too wide action just behind them as well, as they continue to make their way around the track.
Yeah, it's Watts, Strandberg, Buscemi, Moore, Hinchcliffe making moves. Now, it's been about 20 laps since they had that pit cycle under caution. This is the point where we've seen drivers starting to fight the car, loosening up. Patrick Martindale comes down pit road in that 107 machine. Not sure if that's a planned stop or not. Second stop of the night, so I think it is. Martindale tried something to get off sequence, maybe get some track position. Didn't pan out super well for him as Michael Dow, the number 60 machine, getting chased by Courtney Nelson, the 102. I know Nelson's got good short run speed, now up 17 spots, but I don't know. It's still very early into the run to see who's going to kind of rise as the tire management starts to play a factor.
When you can see Nelson get that rear end just a little bit loose. That looked quite dicey for a second there, as Weiniger is going to take advantage of that one and go underneath there, as well as Brian Lindsay is going to take that spot as well, I believe, and does so. So they're moving their way up into the 17th position, and Courtney Nelson finds himself falling down into the 18th spot at the moment.
Yeah, Winder, a good race. He's up 6 positions. That number 15 Chevrolet. Brian Lindsay tucked in behind him, up 10 spots. There's definitely been some ground to make for several of the drivers. I believe the hard charger still Eric Essery, the 37, up 24 spots here. And on the same pit strategy as the top 6 drivers as well. So Essery having a good race here. Interested to see. I haven't called him too much in the past, but he is sponsored by Farm Bureau, and that 37 absolutely ripping it with Eric Essery Motorsports Racing Incorporated. An absolute mouthful as a team, but good to see him rocking and rolling. He's got a lot of pressure behind. That's Grandpa Pischke and Joe Brown in hot pursuit. And these 3 drivers, they're about 2.7 seconds back from Greg McDaniel, who's kind of at the tail end of the lead pack, and it looks like up front, Robinson, yeah, good. You saw the same thing I did. Robinson and Ogle having their own battle, swapping spots for second and third. Robinson moving up into second. All the while, they've been whittling away at the gap. Their race leader, Dwayne MacArthur, the fast Canadian, holds. Still a half second to the advantage of MacArthur, but surely I would think with Robinson and Ogle maybe working together here, they should be able to make quick work and reel back in that 83 machine.
Yeah, it's definitely not a sight that MacArthur wants to see in his rearview mirror, as Robinson and Ogle have pretty much linked up together and are making their way quite quickly towards the back end of MacArthur. Now down to 3/10, was 4/10 last lap. So closing the gap very quickly indeed, and Ogle just deciding to stay behind Robinson for the moment. Obviously Robinson had a bit more pace during the longer run, and Ogle deciding that Robinson should take the lead. And Ogle falling in behind Strandberg and Buscemi down in 11th. They continue to change positions, as Buscemi now takes over the 11th place spot that we were just talking about. But Strandberg's coming back with Lloyd Moore on the inside line just behind as well. Don't worry, we're keeping a close eye on the battle for the lead, as it's getting whittled down very, very quickly here. Arthur still up in front of Robinson, but Robinson right on the back bumper now, as Robinson is trying to make his way around. Ogle has been brought up to the back of MacArthur as well. And this almost seems unfair, as the 2 of them are chasing down that 1 lead driver. Robinson is going to force him up high. As MacArthur goes high, Robinson goes the inside. Battle for the lead. Ogle falls in behind Robinson, trying to get that draft, maybe push Robinson to the front. And MacArthur not having any of it and trying to stick out high. Stick it out on that high side, able to fight back and still retains. Oh, that's very close. I think Robinson just pipped him at the line there to start this lap.
Yeah, we just saw Barney pull in the cross, green and white flag, signifying the halfway mark. And now you've got Robinson and Ogle, who are going to try and work together to take over the first and second place spot from MacArthur. A little bit of a shimmy there, I think, from MacArthur, as Ogle drifted up the inside line, that number 11 machine. But Gareth, we haven't seen a green flag stop. Do you think at this point of the race, maybe drivers getting a bit of a rhythm, and we might see a green flag cycle begin to unfold here?
Yes, I think so. I absolutely think so. I think that these drivers have definitely got into a groove at the moment. They're finding lines that work for them. MacArthur, unfortunately, one of those drivers that did have a very strong short run car, is now being eaten up by a lot of the machines around him. And Eddie Jones has certainly inserted himself into this top 4. So, yeah, just as I was saying, you know, it really starting to look like a long green flag run is underway as we see another machine just making its way out of, I believe that was Patrick Martindale coming out of pit lane.
Yeah, either Martindale or maybe Chris Clark we see rolling out on track. And yeah, it's interesting now. You've got 2 groups inside the top 4. Robinson and Ogle, teammates 1st and 2nd. MacArthur and Jones, teammates 3rd and 4th. So this is what I've seen more commonly in the past here, calling the Kimball Cup Series at the Old Bastards Racing League. You're starting to see teammates work together. They're going to develop their own strategies here. And if we get that green flag run, which with how the season's been, kind of a big if, you might start seeing some different fuel calls come into play as well amongst these tops teams. And it doesn't look like Greg McDaniel, Al Turner, going to work together for too long here. McDaniel taking over the 5th place spot from Turner. And we've got Steve SimStation joining us on the YouTube side of the broadcast, enjoying the show. And a little bit late in the race, but again, thank you to our fans, friends, and family supporting the league, supporting the drivers as well as supporting 2 of your favorite broadcasters. We'll rock, paper, scissors amongst ourselves in the booth to see who gets that title, but couldn't do it without the fans out there in the world, and makes for a very exciting show. And we've had consistently 43 drivers coming out and putting on absolute barn burners every Sunday night. I mean, Gareth, you can point the camera anywhere on track and you're pretty certain to find some sort of battle going on here.
Well, let's do just that as we point the camera back to 12th place spot. Lloyd Moore has just taken over that position from Kevin Strandberg. So that is absolutely the case, like you just pointed out. You can pretty much point the camera anywhere you want and you're going to be finding battles here. And you can see all the cars fan out. Lloyd Moore goes underneath the white line. That is not what you want to see. Strandberg easily takes that spot away. And Hinchcliffe and Weiniger are now right behind Lloyd Moore. That was definitely a bobble that Moore did not want to have.
Yeah, I mean, one little mistake when these guys are so equally matched on pace is a almost surefire way to lose 2 or 3 spots mighty, mighty quick. Now, thankfully for the drivers is we're pretty into this fuel run. About 32 laps on a set of tires gives these guys a little bit of redemption and kind of slows the pace down with how aggressive the moves can. We've got David Schmidt. He's cheering on the world-famous Australian. Steve SimStation wishing you a happy birthday as per usual up here in the booth. So it looks like you've won the people's voice here, Gareth.
I appreciate that, but I'm certainly not doing the amount of great work that I usually do, and I've not done an amazing job so far tonight. I've really had you carry me, James. So, you know, if no one else is going to, I'm going to have to appreciate you a whole lot at the moment. But...
Oh, it's just, I can't carry anything. I've got one leg right now. So we're all doing what we can here as we're watched in on Watt, Strandberg, and Moore battling for that 11th place spot. Not too far back is John Hinchcliffe, Darrell Winninger. Oh, but we've got problems out on track. Kenneth Scholes showing an off track. Not seeing a caution come out. But let's see if we can get a replay queued up and see what happened to that 97 machine that's running in 19th place still. There's Scholes, the Ford Mustang. Looks like that's coming out of 4.
Just got a little bit loose. Pass in the grass. That's an amazing work.
Yeah,
not
good
lose
save
it.
there.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but go back. We've got a problem. Eddie Jones has brought out the caution while we're live. Dwayne MacArthur is going to be involved in it, and it's tragedy for last-ditch racing. Jones gets loose out of turn 4, and oh, if all the people he's going to hit, it's his teammate Dwayne MacArthur. Gets hit from the inside, scrapes the outside wall. The 2 teammates tandem drifting here across the tri-oval. Oh my goodness, disaster for the team. Jones down the inside line. MacArthur yeets himself off camera on the right side. Not sure if MacArthur's going to get any damage from that one. We look away for a half second, Gareth, and everything breaks loose here.
Yeah, just... I have very little words. I mean, that's just impeccable timing, really, from the drivers. They had to wait till we were looking away. Um, but yeah, well, great job from Eddie Jones to really keep the car underneath him and not get involved in anything more.
Well, besides dumping his teammate
Well,
MacArthur, let's see
yes.
if we can get that. See if we can get that queued up. Yeah, let's perfect. Yeah, because MacArthur way down the standings now showing 16th.
I'm worried.
Oh, a
I'm worried if
hard
he
hit
got
for MacArthur.
run into by anyone else, facing the wrong direction. Tags the wall again. Thankfully, everyone sees him, so avoiding that. But oh yeah, and that's that's a heartbreak because he was by far and away one of our front runners, and very much expected to have a great finish here tonight. That's not going to. Well, certainly it's not going to do a whole lot for his ego either. As
Yeah,
the
and the
two
points
teammates.
implications. MacArthur was tied with Jonathan Green for 6th in points coming into tonight. About 24 points back from Josh Robinson, who's leading the points. And we've seen seasons past amongst these guys separated by just 2 or 3 points after the end of a 43-week season. So, oh no, MacArthur just up to a very rough start here this season.
It looks like a whole bunch, well, the entire field really getting work done. And Alan Wanamaker is staying out. That is a
That's a
strategy
call.
call if I've ever seen one.
I wonder if he's going to go around the field and come down pit road. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to see him stay out there on almost 40 lap old tires and make a go of it here. But I'd be very worrisome with how busy the field is going to be behind him and how aggressive those drivers were going to be with fresh rub underneath them. I don't know if that's a spot I'd want to be in that 74 machine. Loving the Krispy Kreme livery though.
Yeah, it's looking very. See, that's another thing we don't get down here. We don't get any Krispy Kreme. Now, that's something I want to complain about because that sounds delicious.
It is.
Well, anyway.
No more embellishment. That's all you get. Krispy Kreme on top with the likes of Alan Wanamaker in the 74 Toyota Camry. We're interested to see if he stays out here.
He is staying out.
I think he is, Gareth.
He's not coming down, so that's a huge strategy call considering the last time he came in was lap 46. So that unless he's done major tire saving to the point where I just haven't even noticed, and he's got something underneath him, but that's a strategy call if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, gonna be a dicey one. That's gonna be tough. That's a very precarious spot to be in for both Wanamaker as well as all the drivers are gonna be starting right behind him.
Well, he has split Robinson and Ogle though, because they were going to be in charge of the entire front row. So Wanamaker splitting those two up. So he's done something, being up there splitting the two teammates away from each other.
Yeah,
So
but for how long with those two teammates on fresh tires?
That is the ultimate question, yeah.
I'm going to go with not very long. I think Wanamaker on this restart, if he's holding on to a top 20 within 2 laps, he's doing something pretty spectacular. And not to discredit how good of a driver Wanamaker is, but just how old those tires are. That's going to be a really tough battle to fight.
Oh,
as I think Wanamaker might have been listening.
He's coming in now. That's a bit late to make the call, but better late than never, as they say. I want to make it coming down, probably deciding that was the smart move to do from the get-go. So that has basically cycled back to what we were expecting here. As Robinson, Ogle are going to be starting on your front row. McDaniel and Turner going to be in 3rd and 4th. And your 3rd row is going to have Grandpa Pischke and Eric Essery, the biggest mover, up 25 spots in 6th position on the high side. I mean, just think about that, 25 spots. Like, that's insanity.
That's an accomplishment.
mean, that's almost half the grid. Like I mean, and that just shows you again, like how big the grid is we've had here tonight. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep on saying the same words over and over because I'm just so flabbergasted that he's
I
been
mean, you and
able
I,
to do that.
yeah, you and I have been on iRacing for a very long time. I can't tell you, I don't think I've ever had a race as good as Eric Essery is having with those 25 positions gained. And that's not, some goofy pit strategy and undercutting on fuel and tires. That's just hard work and charging through the field. Started P31 here at Las Vegas. And that is a lot of heavy hitters he has worked his way around. And speaking of heavy hitters, trying to see here. Oh no, Dwayne MacArthur will be starting 32nd as we go green flag racing.
Oh, he's fallen way down the standings after that impact there with his teammate, but it's going up front as we've gone back to green. Robinson and Ogle still in control of both lines, not getting behind one another like we were expecting. So that's going to create a big hole for everyone else behind him. Greg McDaniel trying to follow them as Al Turner also follows through. Essery is trying to work that high side line and has done around Pishke. Pishke or Pishke?
Pishke.
Pishke, okay. So
yeah, Dakota, he's been. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was. That's all you. It's all you, James.
Yeah, Dakota's been here a very long time. I want to say it was 2021 when I first started calling the action here at the Old Bashers Racing League. And Pishke been a really. I mean, you can hang out with these drivers, any one of these drivers, before the broadcast kicks off, and hang out in the drivers meeting. Everybody extremely family and welcoming. I can't talk. Extremely friendly, extremely welcoming to the family they have built up here. And it's a free league, and it's run entirely by donations from the drivers as well as some sponsors that contribute. Most of the sponsors also involved in the racing themselves. This season, it's KimBowl.net, and that's going to be the Greg McDaniel #1 machine who sits in third on board as the title sponsor. So McDaniel, one of the drivers, loved the series. He goes, hey, we'll chip in, we'll help support the series, and we'll make sure we have this thing broadcasted so the world can see just how good the talent is out on track. And these guys are proving it right now. I mean, your top 11 separated by about a second here overall.
Yeah, I mean, you can see them fanning out. You can see just how big this grid is and just how close together everyone is as they continue to fight for spots. We had Steve SimStation saying that Wanamaker just wanted to lead some laps, which is probably why he stayed out front, which is probably, probably not the wrong thing to say, as maybe he did just want to lead one lap, which is why he stayed out, but he did stay out for two, so always raising questions, and my eyebrows definitely raised. But we've got a big, tight battle, so, I mean, this just continues to go as we got two wide all over the place. This track is just absolutely packed with cars at the moment. And a potential 3 wide heading back here. I believe that was Buscemi who was hinting at it and almost went through with it. It was very, very close indeed, as this pack has just stayed all close together as Turner goes around with Essery. They're side by side. You can see Wanamaker on the low side there, just the speed difference coming out of the pit road. And Moore underneath just gets passed there by Michael Watts with a very determined Watts through the middle. And Watts has a big run coming up to the drivers just in front of him. Joe Brown having to stay on the high side as Watts goes underneath and tries to take that spot away. So the racing just never stops here at OBRL.
Yeah, great racing all across. This top, I mean, what is this, the top 20 at this point? Yeah, the top 19 drivers, very, very frantic out on track as we're focusing on Michael Watts and the 84 machine. Watts makes it his 22nd spot gained, getting around both.
3 wide.
Oh, boy.
Well, Brown backed out of it on the high side. Probably the smart move. Sorry to take the airtime away from you, James, as Watts and Moore continue to fight it out.
Yeah, I mean, there's big sins from these guys, and they've got the fresh tires underneath them. They can capitalize on that, what I like to call the balance of power and traction. You can only spend so much over the run. You got to be careful where you spend it at. As I think I just saw, I don't know who that was. Somebody got a little bit loose up there. I think that might have been Brian Lindsay, the number 24. Historically, that car has been sponsored by Hooters. I saw somebody get a little bit snapped loose, and the aero's got to be rough out on track. Gareth, you do a lot more racing than I do these days, both on the oval and the road side, but what's it like being in this pack when the aero's just all over the place? I mean, are you tight? Are you loose? What's the car doing at this point?
It's really anyone's guess, James. That's the thing. Like, these cars are so unpredictable, and it's so hard to determine exactly where to point your vehicle. And like you said, the turbulent air is such a huge factor, and you find yourself, you've got grip 1 minute and no grip the next, and it's really, you've got to fight that wheel throughout the entire corner. I mean, it's an effort, and to do that for 140 laps, near full throttle the entire way, I mean, hats off to these drivers, because they certainly know how to put on a show.
Yeah, these guys doing a fantastic job. It's still Ogle, Robinson, McDaniel, Turner, and Moore are your top 5. Brown and Essery having a great battle, as well as Watts and Pischke. I mean, yeah, the top 20, you could throw a blanket over these guys. Ogle's starting to get a little bit of a gap built up with the helps of Josh Robinson, but not much. Greg McDaniel staying right there with him. And I'm curious to see, maybe after that 3-wide situation, drivers might have calmed down here slightly and said, all right, I need to pick my pass a little bit more carefully. But we're still 2 wide, about 5 rows deep. As we watched, that is going to be Watts working along the inside line of Essery. Watts up 21 spots, Essery up 23 position. Hinchliff in that number 8 is kind of watching this unfold, going, hey, I started 9th, I'm now running 10th as Pischke works the inside, but I want to be here at the end. We've got a little bit over 40 laps left to go, and maybe, just maybe, Gareth, we'll see that green flag stop we're really excited for.
I think we will. I think these drivers don't have to. Let's see, when are they? A lot of them came in at lap 82. Thereabouts. I believe the fuel window is just under being able to make it all the way to the end. It'll be very tight, but more than fuel, definitely something to worry about is the tire management. I know we've talked about it. I know I've talked about it so much to the point where people are probably sick of it. But it's such a key factor in this race. And honestly, those tires go within 30 laps. So 30 to 40 laps, I reckon, are going to be really the turning point for those tires. And it's going to come down to the wire whether they can afford to even come down to grab some new tires, or they try and fuel save to make it towards the end. It's going to be very, very close.
Yeah, we've seen some big races here, won or lost on some pretty spectacular fuel mileage calls made. Robinson and Ogle, we've seen definitely your 2 race leaders. We've seen some good calls out of them in the past. Trying something a little bit off strategy from the rest of the field as we watch Joe Brown, Lloyd Moore battling for the 5th place spot. But I think you're right. Traction's going to be at the forefront of everybody's mind in that tire management. The secondary is going to be fuel management here. Now, I guess the saving grace, most drivers except for Tom Ogle have somebody sitting immediately in front of them. They can do a little bit of drafting, a little bit of fuel saving from behind. But when the whole field's holding the throttle 100%, how much fuel saving can be really done here if everybody's on the same pace?
Well, that's a very good point. I'm not so sure. Definitely being in the draft certainly helps, but pretty much everyone at the moment is in the draft of each other, except for, as you say, Ogle up front. So, I mean, that'll be... I mean, really, it really is just... It's just... I've forgotten the expression I'm trying to look for, but basically that it's going to be so difficult to determine. It's going to be really up to the drivers themselves or whether they want to pit or not, and it's going to be very, very close, too close to call. But we've seen the sun has gone behind some cloud, I believe, as it looks like the track has gotten quite a bit darker and a bit cooler as well, as the sun has been blotted out by the clouds. So that could definitely play a factor now, as we've got Robinson who's taken over the lead from Ogle.
Yeah, the 2 teammates having their own battle up front. Josh Robinson working the inside line. Tom Ogle still running his trademark middle groove all the way up against the wall on the backstretch of Vegas, but it looks like those 2 teammates are going to fight too hard, so maybe it's Robinson's turn to take a little bit of the arrow off of Ogle. That way those 2 team cars are going to be on roughly the same fuel marks, doing a bit of a leapfrog back and forth, but keep an eye out. Greg McDaniel He's been a bit of a dark horse in this one. I think he's absolutely a contender. If we can go green, and if he can stay with those two Team Miata drivers, I think McDaniel, one of those guys that's got a chance of being up here at the very front by the time it's all said and done. And of course, there's Al Turner as well. Turner looking for a good race in that 76 machine. But this is McDaniel's second full OBRL Cup season. He is an equipment operator by day and iRacer by night. Hobbies include iRacing, bowling, bass fishing, and this is why I like McDaniel, a huge supercross and motocross fan. So another two-wheel guy that I got to always lend my support to. And good to see McDaniel having such a good run here, and as well as Al Turner in fifth. Fourth. Turner having a great run.
Yeah, these guys definitely putting on a show, and I'm always curious to know from your perspective as well, James. I know I've heard you talk about it a couple times. Maybe the fans haven't so much, but going from two-wheel to four-wheel, because I know you've raced a bit of both. I'm more of a two-wheel guy, I know, but I'm quite curious as to how does it basically compare? I know that's a very, very broad question, but do you feel a lot safer on four wheels as well?
No, I think they're both inherently dangerous in what you're doing. The joke among sport bike racers, my field is, as you age, get a cage, meaning switch to four wheels, you got a little bit more protection. But with the motorcycles, whenever you have an incident, granted it's just you in the ground, but you're not trapped, or from my point of view, you're not trapped or locked into anything. You can get away from the carnage. I would say the cars are probably safer with the safety equipment, but it's personal preference, and no matter how you split it, you're doing an extreme sport, a dangerous action sport. And what does carry over very well is the adrenaline between the two. It doesn't matter if you're racing cars, go-karts, motorcycles. Racing is racing. The adrenaline's the same amongst everything. And once you find yourself, 2 or 3 wide on bikes or going into turn 10A Road Atlanta, I found myself in a 4 and 5 wide situation my first car race, and just thinking, oh my goodness, this is just as gnarly as it ever was on a sport bike. So it all translates very well, and what we see here at the Kimball Cup Series as well, amongst the oval races we do as well as some of the road courses, fast is fast. It doesn't matter what discipline it is. You'll see a lot of the same guys inside the top 10, and some of those guys will be more road guys that are experienced. Some guys are more hardcore oval guys, but it all translates super, super well, and it's always cool to see how it crosses different boundaries and gets guys coming together.
That was about as well spoken as as I could have done, as anyone could have done. So, wait, that sounds worse. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of saying it in a good way, and I'm not saying it very well. But I think you know how I'm trying to get my point across. That was very well spoken. That's what I'm looking for. And
cheers, thanks.
yeah, and yeah, I think you said it better than probably better than I could, in the sense that, how great motorsport is, and it doesn't matter where you're from or what you're doing, it brings everyone together. And I think a huge example of that is this series. Old Bastards Racing League, basically, doesn't matter if you're a bit of an older fella, bit of a middle-aged fella, get behind the wheel and do some racing, have some fun, meet some new people, and just enjoy yourself. And I think that's probably the biggest key and the best thing you can do.
Yeah, and these guys are a very large, and I want to emphasize the very dysfunctional family part of it as well. They run 4 different series: Trucks, ARCA, Xfinity, and then of course the Premier Cup Series every Sunday night. But when they're not out on track for races, I think just about every night there's also a practice session. So these guys are throughout the week getting together multiple times, depending on what time slot they can race, and constantly working to better themselves as well as each other. You can't find anybody in the paddock that's not willing to lend a hand to some of the new drivers, especially our triple-digit drivers we see coming out every week and saying, hey, let's try this. Now, the top guys, they'll have a little bit minute differences of stuff they're going to try on race day and kind of hold their cards close. But for them, across the field, everybody's willing to lend a hand and kind of improve the racecraft here each and every week. But Gareth, we have green flag stops underway. John Hinchcliffe came down pit road. Dan Hill also came down pit road for a green flag stop. We've got a little bit less than 30 laps left to go, and we might see that green flag stop I'm so excited about.
Yeah, you've been wanting it all race long, and I think you're going to be seeing it, as we're seeing more and more cars coming down pit road and coming out of pit road. So it's it's really coming down to that point. And as I was saying to you, about 30 odd laps, 30 to 40 laps is the way the tires really start wearing off quite a lot. So I think these drivers working out, okay, we've got about 30 laps to go. I'm going to come down, get some fresh rubber underneath me. And in the event we do have a caution, I don't have to come down pit road again. In the event we don't, I'll have fresh rubber that will hold fairly well towards up until the end of this race. So I seriously think that some people have really considered it and thought, right, I just want to get a few more spots, so I'm going to come in a little bit earlier than necessary. But it'll be interesting to see how these drivers up front, when they decide to come down, as we were looking at the battle between Turner and McDaniel. There's a little bit of a gap there between the two now for third and fourth. So I was going to almost go all the way back down to Kermit Gentry. Now, he's found himself around a whole bunch of cars at the moment. And
Yeah, one of those drivers we haven't talked about much, Gareth Victor Lane, the number 10 machine. Victor having a great race as well. We haven't talked about him much. He's been clicking off laps. And next thing you know, he's up about 20 spots. He's racing with VLS Racing. And the joke in the paddock is Victor, one of the cleanest drivers you can find. But we've got issues. Oh, the big one is out here. John Hastings heavily involved in that at 32. Brian Lindsay, Chris Walsh. Oh, we're going to find a nice wide angle on the replay as we're going to be eluded by that green flag stop, my friend.
Yep, that green flag stop that I know you wanted so much is sadly not going to be able to come out this time.
Today. Oh,
And
look, no, look ahead.
yes,
Is that,
so
who was that up in the air? Was that Hastings or Lindsay? Well, there's Hastings, so I don't think it was him. Was it the sixth? I'm very perplexed.
that was,
Maybe,
I'm trying
was
to
that Chris
find,
Walsh?
I think it might have been Chris Walsh. I think it might have been. So I'm trying to find the exact car I want to focus in on. And no, it's
Oh, it's
just
the
ahead of him.
09. Who is that?
Oh, just loses the tail end. That's okay. Gonna have to. That's McRubbin. That is Brian McRubbin, and he's just lost the rear end. Went down to the apron, tried to collect it back up, and just went straight into the path
Oh,
of the
Duff.
other
Look at that.
drivers.
That is our replay shot riding on top of the 97.
We're gonna get a little bit of a closer angle.
Enhance.
Yes, we're gonna enhance. I know you love saying
And look
that.
at John. Look at John Hastings just come barreling into the crash here. Oh yeah, get super loose.
Oh.
Flat tracks out the back end. He's gonna snap back right.
Oh, that's so upsetting though, because the 97 broke to avoid him, and then he came right back up into him again. Oh no.
That's the shot of the week right there, Gareth, for certain.
Oh, up and over. Gonna have some Duff beer tonight.
Yeah, and I hate to see that for Brian as well. He was running so well in that 09 machine, but
Ooh,
yeah,
the
he's
32 comes barreling in. Oh, and there's
yeah,
more
that was
carnage.
yeah, that was Hastings. The 63 machine gets absolutely obliterated once more. That was Chris Walsh, hard hit. John Hastings, that was the 32. Who is that just gets collected?
Brian Lindsay, the 42 machine just scrapes by. That's gonna be Mark Fish. Wow.
Oh, we're about to whittle down the field here, Gareth.
That's certainly taken some good drivers out of the competition, which is not what we like to see at all. And
Yeah,
like you said, we've definitely whittled down the field. There's probably got, I want to say, around about 30, maybe 32, 33 cars on track right now. There's quite
we're
a
gonna
few
try
in
and
the
get the
pits. Yep.
we'll try and get the replay done and hit it back live so we can get the live timing tower on the left side of our screen. Or is it just on my end?
That's on your end, my friend.
Nice.
Unfortunately, James having a little bit of issues as well. And maybe if... Yeah.
There we go. I got it on my end now.
All
So
right.
for the fans listening along at home, if you don't realize, I don't live in Australia. My counterpart here in production for tonight, Gareth, running the controls behind the screen. He's actually able to control just about everything from his virtual booth as well as mine. So the camera angles, the overlays, all produced by Gareth McAllister here tonight. And normally syncs up absolutely flawlessly, but every now and then, a little bit of international communication problems, I'm gonna call it, as we roll into our 4th caution of the night. It's gonna be Robinson, McDaniel the front row, Ogle, Turner your 2nd row, Pischke and Moore your 3rd row. But this, we talked about short run heroes. Now is their chance.
Oh, absolutely. Only 24 laps to go, coming to 23 to go. This is certainly coming into the wheelhouse of, like you said, Greg McDaniel finding himself in the 2nd spot. He's starting, unfortunately, on the high side, but if he can make that work, he should be in a good spot. Of course, trying to fend off Robinson and Ogle will be a difficult job to do. But if he can work it out, he's got a very good chance of taking this one home.
Yeah, I think it's going to be every man for himself here. And it's going to be about 22 laps to go of what could be green flag racing. I'm personally expecting one more caution here with how we're bunching the field back up and kind of putting a little bit of pre-race jitters on these drivers. I think we're going to see some aggressiveness out of drivers that would historically hang back a little bit, play it safe. I think now that they've got 20 laps and a possible win in front of them, I think we're about to see some big sends from guys that normally wouldn't. Now, still under the caution count of last week where we had 7 cautions, 22 under yellow, 20 laps under yellow, and a very disappointed race control. So gonna see what's gonna happen here. I don't think it's gonna be as violent as Auto Club, but I'm expecting some action here in the closing 20 laps.
Yeah, it should be a good one to watch, as it looks like Robinson is going to take the green flag, waits till the very end, and then does so, really faking out Grandpa Pischke as we get underway. McDaniel on the high side trying to decide when to go. Unfortunately, not able to do so as well as he wanted. Ogle is right there underneath him, but McDaniel not letting him go as McDaniel gets a mega run on the high side. Takes over the lead. Who was that? Something went shooting down to the low side.
I didn't see it on my broadcast software.
Oh.
I didn't see any pit road entries or
Someone went
of the
shooting
sort.
off the track to the apron, managed to get back onto the field. Didn't see who it was. I just saw a black machine and it went absolutely nuts, but able to keep it underneath him. I don't know how I managed to keep back whoever that was. Great job to them. I missed it. But McDaniel and Robinson are continuing to go side by side as Robinson has the favorable inside line, but McDaniel showing just how fast he is on fresh rubber and making his way through, and I think he's going to take the first spot away. And does so coming to the line, but still stuck on the high side as Robinson takes over the inside.
Yeah, McDaniel's surrounded by the 2 Team Miata drivers, the top 2 drivers of Miata, Robinson and Ogle. But look at McDaniel absolutely ripping the high side here in the number 1 machine. He may have that short run speed under his belt he needs, but 20 laps left to go here at Las Vegas. It's McDaniel, Robinson, Ogle, Turner, and Pischke, your top 5. A very, for the most part, very different top 5 than we saw in the opening part of the race. McDaniel trying to make that Chevrolet 3 cars wide to fend off the 2 Fords of Robinson and Ogle. They're side by side. They're building up a little bit of gap over Turner and Pischke, who are also side by side.
I mean, the side by side just never stops here at OBRL, and this is a huge example of that, as Ogle and Robinson are now side by side. So Ogle saw that McDaniel was using the high line to his advantage and trying to use it as well, but not able to get as much pace as he wanted to. Robinson, interestingly, is almost fighting the two teammates there behind McDaniel. McDaniel is going to be very happy to see that, as Grandpa Pischke is right on the tail end of Ogle now and making waves as he's found a lot of pace in that 20 machine, and he's also making his way to the front. So we're going to have a big shake-up, it looks like, as Ogle finds himself with a lot of company behind.
Yeah, this is not the spot Ogle wanted to be in here. They were going to be more happy with, 3 cars trying to decide a win. Next thing you know, it looks like the top 6 all bunched up nice and tight here. McDaniel still fell in the pressure from Josh Robinson, but there's Joe Brown linked up with Al Turner. Robinson, no, excuse me, that's going to be Brown, tags the outside wall, crosses across a half track. Oh my goodness, that 21 machine just about cleared out the top 6, the top 10. Brown falls back now to the 10th place spot. Still up one position from where he started, but that's exactly what we talked about, Gareth. Drivers, a little bit of fire behind them in the closing laps here at Vegas, and it just takes one little mistake when you're hitting speeds in excess of 195 miles an hour, and things can very quickly go poorly for these guys.
Yeah, absolutely blistering pace, and that's the thing. Like, he just caught the left side tires just underneath that effervescent. Yeah, that's probably not the right word to use, but caught the inside of that white line, and it just unsettled the car so much, and was very fortunate not to get involved in anything more than a little bit of a wall scrape, and keeps the car going. So that is a fantastic job from Joe Brown to keep that car underneath him. And who's that's had a bit of an issue? That's Lloyd Moore. Not sure what quite happened there. I must have had a blink in the moment, because as you said, these cars traveling so quickly, you blink and you miss a lot of the action. And unfortunately, being live, we cannot go back and have a look. I don't want to turn away, as Robinson has just taken over the spot from McDaniel.
Yeah, you got a battle for the lead. Robinson, McDaniel side by side. Robinson running his preferred inside line. There's Tom Ogle still running the middle to high groove. Eric Esser, your hard charger, up 24 spots here in the 37. Things can still happen here with 14 laps left to go as we watch Robinson and McDaniel still side by side. Ogle seems content to watch this one unfold, and keep an eye out on Pischke. I think he's there in the number 20 machine doing a little bit of tire saving. We haven't seen him push too extremely hard to make passes. Meanwhile, McDaniel and Robinson both throwing haymakers at each other into 1 and 2. McDaniel showing not ahead at all, absolutely identical here. Now he's built up a 0.04 second advantage, but Robinson's going to try and get set up for the inside line through 3 and 4. McDaniel running a middle groove, trying to carry just a little bit more speed, but let's see who it's going to be on the line here. This could be a sign of things to come. McDaniel's got a little bit better drive out of 4, but Robinson does have his teammate Ogle right behind. This could be anybody's guess how this is going to go as we're 12 laps left.
Oh, absolutely, as Ogle is really all over the back bumper of these two just in front of him. McDaniel has that high side run, but Robinson able to get around the corner, just in the midpoint of the corner and on the inside, going into the corner itself, into 3, and in the middle of 3 and 4, is just able to get that car underneath him. It looks like the bottom is paying off right now, as I believe Robinson made it to the line before McDaniel. So McDaniel, the higher he stays on that high, the longer he stays on that high side, the more it's going to hurt him, but he definitely doesn't want to give up the spot, and who could blame him with 11 laps to go. Pischke went to the side. You got more way in the background having a little bit of an issue, but able to keep it underneath him. This is getting very, very heated indeed. I'm not sure where I would want to be. James, where would you want to be if you were watching this one? Would you want to watch from Pischke's perspective in 4th? Would you want to be part of the battle up ahead? I do not know where I would want to be.
I think Ogle's probably in the best position here in the top 5 to bring home a win. Robinson and McDaniel, I think they're burning up a little bit too much tire, but as you saw Pischke kind of snap loose there, I think all these guys are kind of on the ragged edge here, but the fireworks still going off between Robinson and McDaniel. I just think it's going to be somebody like Ogle, somebody like Pischke, maybe even somebody like Turner still has a shot of it in that 76 machine as he runs 5th, that are maybe saving a little bit more tire. I think once we get about 5 laps left to go, maybe 3 laps left to go, I think you're going to see some of those guys that are hanging back ever so slightly kind of wick it up and start charging through, especially if my guess is correct that Robinson and McDaniel have burnt up a little bit tire, but there goes Tom Ogle. Oh, what a save from Ogle in the White Claw back number 11 Ford Mustang. Everything I just said was wrong. Ogle not in the good spot.
Ogle just got incredibly loose coming out of turn 2 and just lost the rear end. Somehow able to save it just before the wall. Fantastic job him. So all of a sudden, the teammates have been split up and Robinson is left out front by himself. And McDaniel is charging very, very hard indeed to try and take that spot back away. So this just got a whole lot more interesting.
Yeah, I'm done with predictions for the day after that one. I mean, I thought Ogle was in probably the best position he could be, and then the massive send and slide sends him all the way back to 14th, down 13 spots. He was the top qualifier of the night. And now Robinson McDaniel, they've got about 3/4 of a second built up over Pischke. This could very much be a 2-car shootout by the time it's all said and done. So if I'm McDaniel right now, I know I've got 3/4 of a second advantage. I've got Robinson's draft squarely in front of me. Let's try and cool those tires off just a little bit, save something left for the end, or maybe keep the pressure on Robinson so Robinson can't do too much tire saving himself. We know these drivers are good to go on fuel till the end. It's all about tire and who left a little bit in the back pocket to try and make something happen. But man, Gareth, with how this race started, I did not think this is the field we were going to be looking at with it's about to be 5 laps left to go here at Vegas.
Oh, it's been utterly intense. It's just there's no point where there hasn't been action to look at. And from McDaniel's point of view, you know, he was probably banking on being in front up to this point, and with Robinson just ahead, I'm not so sure McDaniel's going to be able to do it. He's going to try and stay behind in the draft, and thankfully is just close enough to where he keeps it. But Robinson has had a fantastic, like, mid to long run car, and I feel like that may be McDaniel's undoing here, as McDaniel's had a much better short run vehicle. So with 4 laps to go, barring anything that happens further back in the field, I believe this may be how this one shakes up, as the top 5, Eric Essery is in a battle with Al Turner at the moment, and they're trying to determine who's going to get into this top 5.
Yeah, Essery having such a fantastic race as he's battling with Turner. He's about up 26 positions, make it 27 as he briefly takes the spot from Al Turner. Looks like he's going to squarely take that spot from Turner. So Essery definitely our hard charger of the night. 27 spots. He was way back in 31st, but is able to pull through as we focus. Michael Watts has a bobble coming across the tri-oval. Watts falls back to 11th. We're 3 laps left to go. The last thing, I don't know, maybe Robinson McDaniel, I think they want to keep this thing green. I think they want to sell this out on track and keep it a 2-car rodeo up at the front.
Robinson has now made a huge gap to McDaniel, but looky here, as Essery is looking to close the gap on Pischke for the 3rd place spot. And I said there was a huge gap between Robinson and McDaniel. It's not that huge. It's only 3/10. I'm looking at the gap between McDaniel and Pischke. That's turned out to be 1.5 seconds. So they've really gapped the field, the front two. And it looks like Essery is not done getting positions, and he wants that 28 points up. So he's going to take that spot away and get his way into 3rd. That's an incredible drive from Eric Essery. I don't know how he's managed to pull it off, but he has. As we come to the white flag to go, Robinson and McDaniel are still close together. McDaniel's actually closed that gap. 1/2 second since we last looked at it. So can he pull it off here, James?
McDaniel's going to have the drive of his life if he wants a shot at it as they charge down the backstretch of Vegas. It's at 2/10 and dropping fast. They head into turn 3, separated by still about 2/10. I think McDaniel, I don't think he's going to be able to get him here. I think Robinson's going to be able to defend as the checkered flag is out here at Vegas. Ladies and gentlemen, Josh Robinson picking up the win. Greg McDaniel finishing 2nd. And a huge congratulations to Eric Essery, the drive of his life, up 28 positions in that 37 machine.
I cannot believe that he made up 28 spots. That is absolutely incredible stuff. And that's about as good a drive as you could ever ask for. You couldn't ask for a better drive than that, surely.
No, that's got to be a highlight for certain for Essery. I think it's the biggest hard charger I've ever called the action at. I mean, we started with 43 drivers, and guys such as Larry Corey, who unfortunately had to send it back to the hauler early on, saying, hey, this car is just evil after 10 to 12 laps, is what Larry Corey said in the spectator area. But there's our top 3 photos out of Robinson, McDaniel, and Essery. What a great run all the way around for these drivers.
Yeah, these guys have done an amazing job here. And I'm sure, see Essery passing, I believe Robinson, is Robinson going to burn it down? Is that what they do here?
Yes, he is going to put on a smoke show for the fans at home in the 23, but I think Essery also just absolutely pumped here. I mean, Couldn't ask for a better race out of that 37 machine. Robinson ecstatic to be once again on the top spot. Robinson winning last week at Auto Club. And we're going to wait for these top 3 drivers to get here into the waiting room. And then we'll do the old 1, 2, 3, McAllister, East, McAllister asking the questions. But what a great race here tonight, Gareth.
Oh, you want me to take Essery and Robinson, do you?
Yes.
All right, sounds good. I'm happy to do that as we try and come up with questions very quick. See
We're
the
waiting for our
yep. We'll
waiting for our top 3 to get up here in the booth. Robinson, McDaniel, and Essery on their 3rd call.
While we wait for them, you can see the list of where the drivers ended up. Fantastic to see everyone turning up. Thank you to all the drivers, all the fans, everyone tuning in. I mean, we're going to say that once again towards the end of our, I guess, interviews, but we're still waiting on
Robinson.
Waiting on the winner. He's probably celebrating.
Yes, he's out of control. So, all right, we'll get things started with Eric Essery with McAllister asking the questions.
All right. Eric Essery, are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, Essery, I have to say, how was that drive from your perspective, my friend? Because that was an incredible drive, and I don't know what else to say because you've made up 28 spots. I mean, that was incredible. How did you manage to do that?
Oh, I don't know. Thank you, but I had a little help, just missing a couple wrecks. I don't know. It just, just try not to get in a hurry. Just take what it gives you. And if I run 20th, I run 20th. But if I can beat the guy ahead of me, that's what I do. I try to anyway. But yeah, it just kind of played out. Few restarts worked out, and I think on the end there, that was a 23 or 24 lap run, and just enough to wear your tires out. So I know a lot of guys were just going all out there on the end, and I just tried to conserve just a tad and gained a few right on the very end.
Well, Eric, I mean, it's was tire management like as big of a impact to the way you were driving as we almost expected it was going to be, or did you find that just it wasn't so much about tire management, it was more about finding your groove around the racetrack?
Yeah, everything. The tires do fall off crazy about lap 13 or 14, and with the field size that it was, I wasn't planning on running, a full fuel run. So I knew I could kind of push it a little bit, just counting on cautions to come out, and they did. Um, but yeah, and you got to get in a groove too. I mean, it's a different car. These you don't really drive them off the right rear. You kind of use the right front more, and that even though the right rear will wear, but it just you just kind of got to keep the wheel as straight as possible and find your little groove.
Well, like that sounds like uh, basically a winner talking. I mean, you reckon you're going to be winning next week? Where are we going next week?
I think Phoenix, yeah.
Phoenix. How are you
I'm
feeling
actually
towards
going to
Phoenix?
Phoenix to the race, so I won't be racing next week. But I just run here when I can, and it's just a lot of fun because you got a bunch of guys that just like to race clean, and that's what it's all about. Have a little fun.
All right. Well, Eric, I mean, well spoken. I couldn't say it better myself. So, I guess the final thing to ask is, who would you like to give a shout out to for this third place finish here tonight?
Just anybody watching, my family might be watching, so if they watch every now and then if they're not too busy, so them, and then just the OBRL league for being a great league.
All right, sounds good, Eric. Well, I guess we'll let you go and have a great night, and we'll see you. I guess not next week, but the week after.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, that's Eric Essery joining us from the 3rd place spot. Up next, we've got Greg McDaniel, my old 2-wheel friend. Greg, what a great finish up there in 2nd. I mean, first it was, 10 drivers have a shot at it, then 5 drivers. And next thing we know, it's you and Robinson out in a field of your own. And not quite as rough as a race as last week at Auto Club, but still a fair amount of cautions, and we know you had to keep your short run game going the whole time.
Yeah, I don't know. My goal at the start of this race was to finish clean and get my 5 bonus points. I don't know. I thought the car was harder to drive this week than last week, but for some reason I got used to it better. I guess as the race went on, I wrecked myself out at the Auto Club last week. So to be able to run that kind of pace and hang with Josh, Cup champion from 2 seasons ago, pretty happy with the result.
Yeah, I mean, a great race all the way around, and we've heard that a few times so far, either between Auto Club or here at Vegas, that the car's been tough to drive, and we saw what looked like snap loose conditions. At what point in the run did you start after focusing on just maintaining, keeping that thing pointing the right direction as the tire wear started to come to effect?
When practice started before the race, it was between 13 and 15 laps, and then I'm guessing some rubber got laid down on the track. If you really rode the white line and got on the gas late when you were straight and still down pretty low, it didn't want to kick out on you. I kind of figured that out halfway through the race, and maybe that helped me save a little bit of stuff for the end. But I wasn't saving anything there at the end. Running with Josh, I was coming off all the corners. The car was it was like driving on a dirt road when you were in high school, kicking the back end out and stuff. It was pretty crazy. I thought for sure a few people would catch us after we drove that hard, but fortunately they didn't.
Yeah, a little bit of flat track action going on here at Vegas. And Greg, did you expect to see so many cautions after the rough go at Auto Club last week, or were you expecting things to go a little bit cleaner tonight?
No, I unless you drive this sim in here, this car it was like when they weren't racing for the year. It was like they made it a little easier in the public lobbies and stuff and took that out of it or something. But now that the real Cup guys are racing again, this is what was going on at the end of last year, and it's back now. The car just after 15 to 18 laps, it's just gonna you're on ice all the time. I had an incident in practice where I broke traction just going over the start finish line, and I think that's what happened when might have been what happened when Eddie and Dwayne got together, and it turned that wheel just a little bit under full throttle going straight, and it wants to come out from under you then. So it's a hard car to drive right now.
Well, Greg, you made it look relatively easy, all things considered. Up 4 spots, a very solid finish, a good points night, and overcoming last week. And always a pleasure talking to you. But before we let you go, who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make this result possible for you?
Well, I want to thank all my teammates on Last Ditch Racing, all the admins that do a great job keeping this league going. We've sold out within like the first 2 to 4 minutes of opening the lobby ever since this series started. So that's pretty incredible. So a shout out to all the drivers here, the admins, people watching online. Hello, Dave, my friend watching, and shout out to Kim Bowl, Butt Kicker, Aero Logs are all of our sponsors that came on in the various series this season. And congratulations to Josh. And I think that's about it.
Awesome, Greg. Always a pleasure, man. Hope to see you up here more often. And a great job and a great run here this evening.
Yep. Thank you, James. Thank you, Gareth. I'll be looking forward to watching you guys here in a few minutes.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Greg. That was Greg McDaniel finishing in second. But up next, we've got the man, the myth, the legend, the number 23, Josh Robinson, in the top spot.
Hello, Josh. I was waiting. I was wanting to see, but Josh Robinson, you got a copy, mate.
Now, this happened last week. Robinson's internet. Oh, there he goes. We lost Robinson. Robinson's internet cut out last week. He had to join us from a mobile device, a cell phone, as the kids are calling it, for his podium interviews. So hopefully Robinson can get back up here.
I'm sure he'll make his way through.
Oh, there we go. Let's try once more. Robinson, you got a copy? Wait, I heard something.
Hey, guys, you got a copy?
Are we doing the mobile device again, Josh?
Yep, apparently that's just going to be the trend this year.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
Well, Garrett, take it away.
Well, you know what? We'll go with it. If it's working, we'll rock with it. So, Josh, first of all, g'day, and how do you feel like that race went from your perspective? I mean, obviously you won, so pretty well. But I guess I more or less want to ask just how you sort of thought it went from the behind the seat of the car.
It was a really fun race. Greg was really tough at the end there, and quite frankly, there was a couple points when I just could not clear him off of four, and he would get a run on the straightaways, and I was thinking to myself, like, man, he's got this. But it was a really fun car to drive. It was pretty loose once you got about 15 laps on the tires. But running with him, Dwayne, Eddie, Tom, that was a lot of fun. Exhausting, but fun.
Well, I've got to ask, what went through your mind when Tom had that big bobble with what about 5 laps to go? All of a sudden, just dropped off the relative behind your rear view mirror. What was going through your mind? No teammate support?
So when that happened, Greg and I had all been running super hard, which meant that our tires were basically in the condition that could definitely happen. And it made me be super conscious of how quickly I was getting back to the throttle off the corner exit because it felt like it was getting ready to snap. So it's as weird as it is to say, his bobble probably made me think a little bit more about not doing that exact thing because it felt like it was about to happen.
Well, I tell you, you kept it underneath you brilliantly, and you brought it home in first place. So that's absolutely what you want. But I guess last of all, what was the key? Unless you don't want to give it away to your competitors, but what was the key to really maintaining the tires underneath you? Because you seem to have a better long run car than a lot of the other front runners around you.
I was definitely staying away from that high line because the high line can trick you into uh, giving it a little bit more throttle on exit, and it doesn't feel like your car is loose, but this car, for some reason, is really wearing out that left rear. And in addition to that, as I was coming off the low line, I would try to drive off as absolute straight as possible, kind of almost like I wasn't caring about the right front and just full focus on keeping those rear tires cool as I possibly could. And it that was probably one of the harder races we've had up front. Where Dwayne was up there, he wasn't given anything as he shouldn't because he and Tom were running pretty hard, and then Tom and I had some side by side battles, and then Greg and I had a great battle at the end. It's really hard when you're running that side by side with someone to not to not chirp the tires.
Well, I mean, sorry, excuse me. Well, I mean, I can certainly agree with that, as I've had my fair share of being alongside someone. So, um, yeah, it's also very hard when you're on that low line like you used so well. Very hard not to try and use as much throttle as possible and just give a little bit of a tap to the guy above you.
I'd rather, especially with as clean as these guys run here, I'd rather lose the position and get a little loose myself and give up a lot more than even consider giving someone a tap.
All right, well, I mean,
Plus, it was oval.
well, there you go. That's Josh Robinson for you. Who would you like to give a shout out to for finishing in first?
Shout out to the league. I mean, that's three Sunday nights in a row that we filled up, and unfortunately, some guys weren't able to get in. Uh, Shout out to my teammates because it's always great to bounce ideas off of each other. Even when Tom and I were up there running and side by side, we were still bouncing ideas off of each other of what we felt the car was doing as the race progressed. And then shout out to the League of Men's because put a lot of work into keeping this a great place to run. And then shout out to Micro Center because popped up there yesterday morning and they had everything that I needed and some great customer service once you get in the door.
That sounds great, and I can tell you, as a man who drives a Ford in real life, I'm very happy to see a Ford in victory lane. So, yeah, I guess we'll be seeing you much more, I would say, with this performance in the near future. And look forward to seeing you then.
Appreciate it, guys. Gareth, James, thanks for doing the broadcast. Looking forward to going back and watching it.
Our pleasure, sir. Garrett, that was Josh Robinson in the top spot. A very frantic night all the way around, but great racing. A little bit of green flag runs as well, but a night once again plagued by about 4 cautions to interrupt the party. But it was Robinson in the top spot, McDaniel running second, and Esri, our hard charger, finishing third. I mean, action-packed from start to finish, was it not?
Oh, absolutely. It was one of the best races I think I've seen, and with such a huge grid. I mean, the action just never stopped. That was definitely one to watch, and I hope we put on a good enough show for all the fans and sponsors and drivers watching the broadcast back. I know I was plagued with some issues earlier on, but I feel like we dialed it in pretty well towards the end of that, towards the midway point, the end of that broadcast. So I was pretty happy with the end result. And yeah, big shout out to everyone coming in, watching at home. And once again, thank you, James, for covering for me when I had my own mishaps.
Yeah, my pleasure. It's a good time up here in the booth here with the Kimball Cup Series of the Old Bastards Racing League. On behalf of TeamGoonSquad.com, my name has been James East, accompanied by the world-famous Gareth McAllister. Thank you all so much for spending your Sunday night with us, and we'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.